Today I give you the 5 reasons why being a digital nomad in Ecuador in 2024 and coming up to 2025 may not be your best choice, and perhaps you should just avoid it. Let's go to the center of Baños. Let's start our journey with a ride on my Honda NC700X. This is my daily drive when I am going from Misigata, where I'm staying currently on the outskirts of Cuenca, on my way over to the Cuenca Mall or just driving into the Cuenca downtown. On this video, of course, we are driving to another suburb area called Baños de Cuenca, which means the hot springs that are actually present in this area. As we drive through these streets, notice that there is a lot of slow traffic, and I'm not actually driving incredibly quickly, it's just that everyone is driving insanely slowly. Keep in mind, if you want to check out what my future ideas are about the energy crisis in Ecuador, that will be happening at the end of this video. What a beautiful church this is indeed, here in Baños of Cuenca. Church Baños in Cuenca. For those that don't know me, my name is Eric Peterson. I have been driving my motorcycle, you just saw, from Minnesota down here to South America, where I have been doing this project, recording how it is to live in all the countries in Latin America. And I currently find myself in Baños, which is a suburban municipality of Cuenca, one of the most beautiful cities I've ever lived in my entire life. And Ecuador is kind of a place that has a bit of drama going on, international drama with safety, crime. But what I came here to talk about today is the blackouts. Blackouts is the main issue today, and we're going to start with the reason number 1 why coming to Ecuador as a digital nomad may not be the best situation and choice for you. Currently, there are between 6 and 14 hours per day of planned blackouts in Ecuador, the entire country. Now, at the moment, today is around 9:30, 10 in the morning. My power went out at 9. Now, there is a schedule currently in Cuenca. In different regions, there's different schedules, and that's kind of a big confusion of it because, okay, it's sometimes 6 hours here and then 9 hours there and then 8 hours here and 5 hours there, and usually it changes quite a bit on the list of the schedules. Now, I currently have 3 hours in the morning, and I believe it's 3 hours in the evening, but 2 days ago it was 3 hours in the morning and 6 hours in the evening. That was 8 to 12, which is 4 hours in the morning, and then it was 6 to midnight. So that was 4 hours and then 6 hours. That was 10 hours just a few days ago. Now it's changed because of bettering or improving water conditions, because this country, let me tell you guys what the reason is for all of this chaos in the energy sector. Ecuador is overly dependent on its green energy. Now, the green energy specifically we're talking about is the hydroelectric plants, the dams that are in the mountains here. And some of the biggest dams are actually nearby Cuenca, where we are now. And those dams are at an all-time low. They are at, I think, 70-year or 60-year most intense drought that it's had. And a lot of people are talking about how it's pretty common during El Nino or La Nina seasons, which just happened this past year. So perhaps this will only happen this season around. Let's hope so. But that is the main reason why these blackouts are happening. Now let's go back to the topic number 1. These blackouts are sometimes very long and sometimes very short. So having 6 to 12 hours of no energy can really put a damper on things if you are working online. I am a digital nomad. I have been a digital nomad for 6 years, and I started in 2018 as an ESL, or English as a second language teacher, and I'm still doing that. And I mostly, at the moment, completely teach Asian students, and that gives me a schedule that's very early mornings. And luckily, since I've been here in Ecuador, it has only been happening like 1 or 2 maximum hours per morning during my working shift. Now, imagine if you have to work the entire 6 or 4 hours with only your battery power, or there's so many different things you have to consider. Not only are these power outages between 6, 8, 10, 12, and 14 hours, but they are actually not very predictable. Let me give you an example. As I mentioned before, just a few days ago, there was about 10 hours of power outages where I'm staying. Actually, it's called Misikata, about 10 minutes from here. Now, it just changed from 10 down to 6. And there is a schedule. Right now, the schedule is 9 to noon in the morning, and then 6 to 9 at night, which is 6 hours, which is quite a bit less than what I've been dealing with. In Manta, I had it up to 14 hours a day, and that was miserable. It was so complicated working, and mostly it has to do with my channel and this, Generic Expats. I've been wanting to produce the content that I want to release into my channel, but all of this content is just building up because I really have no way of editing. The editing takes so much battery power, and trying to do it with only the battery, it doesn't get me far, and I don't have enough time with the battery and with the energy that is actually given to me to be able to do it. And sometimes, like I said, it is unpredictable. Sometimes it will say 9 to noon and it won't go out at all. And sometimes it'll say 9 to noon, it'll go out early at 8:30 and come on at 11. And sometimes it will come on late and turn off early, and vice versa. So the unpredictability really makes it difficult to be able to work. One positive thing about being in Ecuador, if you are a digital nomad, is some people are incredibly friendly. They want to come over and say hi and talk to you like these guys. ¿Cuál es tu nombre?
Marco Villa.
Marco and?
Flor Tapia.
Flor. Un gusto. Behind me, guys, you can see what is the actual city center of Cuenca, way far away. It's about maybe a 30-minute drive from here. Not very far at all. We are in the suburbs, as you can see, called Baños of Cuenca. Now, number two, why it may be a bad idea to come here as a digital nomad to Ecuador in 2024, 2025 is the fact that the internet is very, very much going to be a problem when the power goes out in your region. Now, as I mentioned, the power goes out in different regions of the city at different times. It's not just a whole city at the same time. Where I am now currently, the power is out. If you don't have a way to power on your router, and if your internet company also doesn't have a battery to power their system, you will have no access to internet at your house. And when it first started happening, I thought, well, no biggie. This has happened to me before. I will just use my data plan from my phone operator, my phone plan, which is from now I'm using 20, which there are some other operators which are sometimes quite a bit better. However, all of them basically stop working when the power in your area goes out. Literally, your mobile data plan will become useless. So I first started trying to use that. I thought, okay, no problem. No. So the availability of good internet will definitely depend on you being able to back up your system and hoping that the system at the actual provider, whatever it is, your operator is, if it's 20 or Claro or whatever it might be, that's going to be a major issue in number two. Reason number three why it might not be a good idea for you as a digital nomad to come to Ecuador this year or the following until this energy crisis is resolved is going to be the fact that finding alternative spaces to work is also not super easy. When you're thinking, okay, well, if I can't get my phone plan to work and I can't get my home internet router to work because of the company, perhaps, for example, I'll just go out and I'll go to a co-working space, I'll go to a cafe, I'll go to a this or that. Now, keep in mind, if you have a job where you need to concentrate, there might not be many places that will have a very calm atmosphere for you to work. That is going to be a massive challenge for basically anyone. And one place that you can definitely find a generator is going to be in the malls, but many places actually do not have a generator. Now, keep in mind, generators are used without needing any energy or battery. They're used by burning some alternative type of fuel, usually it's gas or diesel. And that creates a whole nother problem besides that. It creates a problem with pollution and it's very noisy. So places that do actually have it are going to be very noisy. There are very few places that invest and that have that option. If you go to malls, yeah, sure, there might be some options here or there, but as my girlfriend Natalie had to go through in Manta when she spent about 2 to 3 weeks with me there in the coast, she went to the mall many times to work and it was just so noisy. There were so many people, so the volume of people talking and the music and the type of atmosphere you might be looking for at these places is just probably not going to be suitable for getting things done. In my case specifically, I don't like bringing all of my equipment to do my editing and to do the type of work I do for the channel outside of my apartment because I'm just way too afraid of having it robbed outside of the apartment as opposed to in. I'm much more comfortable with just keeping things inside my apartment and working from there. Some people hate working at home. I much prefer it, and therefore taking all of the things I have, my external hard drives, all of the different types of cables that I need to connect everything with, my battery. Now, an issue happening also is with my battery, and my laptop battery is not new. That's going to be another massive issue for people. If you are going to go to a place that doesn't have any generator and you don't have a battery backup, well, you'll need a good battery on your laptop. So the third part of maybe why you shouldn't come to Ecuador now is the fact that finding suitable alternatives is not very easy. And most places I've been to really is just so complicated. Knowing the schedule of each different place, that the energy is not going out. And if you want to go to the mall, yeah, more than likely will have the generators on, but recently, for example, in Manta, they have been reducing the time of opening. So instead of being open from 8 or 9 until 11 at night, I think they brought it up to 10 a.m. in the morning until like 6 or 8 at night, something far, far reduced from what they had before. Reason number 4 why coming to Ecuador in 2024, 2025 as a digital nomad probably isn't suitable for you is going to be the impact on daily life. Now, not even trying to focus completely on work, where this is a big part of working online. However, we're talking about just daily life outside of work that will help you be able to get ready for your day. And for example, one thing you can consider is taking a shower. Now, we're at now Cuenca. It's 2,600, 2,700, probably 2,800 meters where we are now in Baños. And that means in the morning, it is mid-40s, okay? Around now, the sun comes out, and if it's a sunny day, yeah, it's going to be nice. You probably won't feel cold. However, I feel very cold. I work in the early mornings, and I need a hot shower in the morning. Now, if the energy goes out, do I have a hot shower? No, I do not. And I generally just do not take showers when I don't have the electricity on, because it's just so uncomfortable being very cold all morning working online. And then when I'm trying to, get ready and start my day outside of work or go out and do something, I want to feel refreshed, and I can't get that satisfaction. Besides taking a hot shower, well, if you're on the coast like I was at just 2 weeks ago or a week ago in Manta, Manta is not super hot, but if you are very sensitive to heat, that's going to be an issue. The lows in Manta as of right now are actually in the kind of low 70s, so it's not super warm. It wasn't like Cartagena ridiculously hot like in the 90s at night. However, it's going to be slowly getting a little bit warmer as the summer is starting here in South America. If you're in Manta and you're very sensitive to heat, you won't be able to use not even a fan, not even an air conditioner. And even when I used my backup battery, I plugged in my fan to the backup battery and it lasted for like 20 minutes. So even if you have a backup source of energy like I did when I was there, it doesn't do enough. And of course, depending on the blackout time frame, I mean, if we're talking 2 hours, maybe you can plug in a really, really low charge type of fan, and that won't be an issue. But if you have a big fan and you need it, then it might be an issue to try and stay cool. Another thing is keeping your food cold, such as your refrigerator and cooking. If you need to start your stove with an electric starter, you're not going to be able to do that. Or if you have an electric stove, you won't be able to use it. So that's going to be a massive impact on you. Besides just making your own food, something that I've recently noticed is that when the energy goes out in the area where I usually buy my fresh produce, I buy a lot of fruit and vegetables. And when I wanted to buy those things, especially at night, when there's no electricity, they just don't open. They just completely close. I mean, during the daytime, because it's light out, they don't. But when at night it goes out and I want to maybe pick up a couple pieces of fruit for the breakfast the next day, it's not going to be possible because they all just close. They just say, okay, well, no energy? Yeah. They don't have generators. They don't have this and that. So that's going to be another really complication on your personal life and your personal conveniences. Reason number 5 why it might not be the best choice for you, a digital nomad, to come here to Ecuador is going to be the added emotional and physical stress upon you coming here to work, generally you trying to look for a better place with less stress and more comfort when you're going to leave your country of origin, if that's where you're currently leaving from. However, if you're just going around the region, for example, Latin America, this is one of the only countries that has blackouts. When I chatted with some Venezuelans, they said that the blackouts are less in Venezuela than here in Ecuador right now. So it's kind of a crazy thing to think about. When you're trying to go to a new place and you want to have the comforts of, taking a shower on a cold day or using the AC and a fan on a hot day, it's going to add some extra stress and extra constant complications because you're not going to feel comfortable. It's going to create some mental stress when you're going to be constantly looking at the different time charts and the time zones of, okay, this place is going to be going out at this time, this place at this time, okay, I can maybe go here, go there. Just planning things out is so much extra work beyond the inconveniences of not being able to just get a normal thing to stay feeling comfortable, for example, due to temperature or whatever that might be. Now, mental and physical stress is probably due to the temperatures, whereas the mental stress is just not knowing when, perhaps in my situation, I'll give you my example, when the energy goes out, the battery that I have is not new. Now, this is one example I definitely want to suggest for anyone that says, okay, well, I don't care, I want to come here anyways, and I totally say it's doable. It is doable to come here. It's doable to be a digital nomad as I currently am here, and will be here for another 3 weeks. However, it's been 2.5 months of constant struggle. I have an old battery on my laptop. It's about 2 years old, maybe 3 now, and due to it not being new and being traveling through all of Latin America in my hard case panniers, the battery just doesn't have the original capacity. A battery, I think, generally on a laptop will be 6 hours, 5, 6, 7, 8. Some of the really nice ones, I think, from what I remember seeing from Scott Allen Miller, Sam, he mentioned that some of his Mac batteries, when he gets power outages, which almost never happen in Nicaragua, he says that he has like 10 or 13 hours, if I'm not mistaken. Mine only gives me 3 if I don't do absolutely everything. If I turn off the Wi-Fi, to turn off the audio, turn off the screen, literally the most I can suck out of that battery is about 3 hours. And some of these blackouts, like I said, are 4, they're 5, they're 6 hours, sometimes 7. It's just so ridiculous trying to be able to use that time to work when it's just literally impossible. So a suggestion for you, if you're coming no matter what, definitely plan on replacing any old batteries from anything you're using. That is going to be a really big benefit, and it's going to really help out to reduce that mental stress. Because me, when I'm working, sometimes when I'm doing my classes, as I mentioned, I teach the Chinese English online, and when the power goes out, I'm like, okay, when do I need to plug it in? Because okay, I can only plug it into the battery so long. If I drain the battery, then the internet and the router won't have any energy, and that will turn off. So I have to, it's like a balancing game. It's incredibly stressful. So that's a big suggestion is check out your batteries to make sure they are new. Make sure to have some backup batteries, like these small portable ones. I have a small one like this. I think it's 20,000 watts or whatever. And then I have the 1,000 UPS, which I use for my laptop and mostly for my internet router. Another thing to kind of reduce the stress is just to focus on the schedules. I mean, they aren't very reliable, as I mentioned, and they change based on area. But if you are able to try and plan your days around it, for example, right now, I'm recording. What could I be doing at home right now? Basically nothing. You know, I could try to use my laptop for an hour and a half. As I mentioned, if I'm using programs that are editing programs, or if I'm on Google and I'm trying to like make thumbnails or do anything for my channel, those things zap the battery, and it just doesn't last for longer than anything. It's just not even workable. So the amount of stress that I have just thinking about, oh, I wish I could get stuff done, that's something that you will have to put up with being here in Ecuador in 2024 and probably in 2025. Looking forward in the future, guys, I don't really see this having any real legitimate solution until probably middle of next year, end of next year. A lot of plans have been put in place, but they're slow. Maintenance and certain dams will happen, but they're slow. Who knows what will happen and how fast they will go. What happened in the past that didn't create this havoc and this absolute chaos was Ecuador always bought energy from Colombia and Peru during drought seasons. Now, because of all of the changing in climates and the exacerbated storms, who knows if next year will repeat what happened this year, or if it will be completely different, and Ecuador can just buy energy like it did before from its neighbors. This year, Ecuador just couldn't buy the energy, and we're going through this right now. If you enjoyed the content here, why not check out this video, which is a walking tour of Manta's most famous beach, Playa Murciélago, where I talk about living there, as well as where I interviewed Don Shader, the grumpy old gringo who also lives in Manta. Guys, that is the current situation, and this is what I give you: 5 reasons why you probably shouldn't come here as a digital nomad, and I'll see you in the next one.